Hey guys, it's Tiffany here from Beauty and a Builder, and in today's little video, I wanted to show you guys a run through of a real life auction deal that we recently did where we were able to take out a 35% ROI on our investment with almost none of our money actually put into the deal. And the best part is that it's really easy to replicate. So I wanted to show you guys exactly how I did it so you guys can copy exactly what I did. Let's get into it. How did I even find this deal? Honestly, auction properties are just about everywhere. You can find them on county sites, but particularly we want to look at auction sites because some of them might allow for the financing. So in this case, we're looking at auction.com. This is where I found the property. This is what it looked like. Photos coming soon. They did eventually come in, and that's where I got a whiff of the property. It looked brand new. The property was honestly in perfect condition, and you can tell a lot by the photos. So I always recommend you guys taking a peek, driving by, looking at the Google Street View, if you can, of the address and see what the area looks like. I am very, very familiar with this market. The photos look good. I mean, you could just tell the quality of the house and how recently it was built. And if there's anyone living in there, of course, because you definitely don't want to deal with an eviction. And I kind of just put in our zip code, see what pops up. Usually there's about 2 to 3 properties per month. So it wasn't going through the regular foreclosure auction of the county, which is great because that way we have a little more flexibility in terms of the financing. So basically, that's kind of how I stumbled across this deal. Kind of just looking, seeing what the potential is, looking at the property, the condition, and the location, of course. All right, so different auction sites have different processes of how they actually work. This is on auction.com. Once you sign up to bid for the property, you have to do this for every single individual property. It's a really easy little process that you have to do. This is what you're going to see. It's basically you bidding on the property against other people. So right here, we can see the little screen where obviously you put in what your bid is going to be. We have the bid increment, which is how much more you have to put from the last person who bid. Now, these can all change, but we'll get into that because that's kind of what happened in this deal and what made it so good. In my mind, I thought that every investor was going to be hounding the auction site for this deal, but I decided to follow along just to kind of learn and see how much it was going to sell for. Of course, you want to keep up with your market and see how things are going. This is what it looked like as I was following along. I did sign up because I wanted to see the screen particularly. So what we can see here is basically like the bid number. We have the buyer's premium, which is basically the auction house's take for this. Yes, it is usually 5%, which is quite steep depending on the price of the property. And then, of course, here we have basically everyone who's putting in the bids, and you can see the seller counter bids. So this is basically the bank going back in and putting in another bid, hoping that somebody else will come in and put something higher. That way they get the most out of the deal, and they don't end up losing off of the foreclosure that happened previously. There's a few things that I want to touch on for this particular section of this, and that is the fact that every single time the reserve price was never hit. So the property basically just ended, the auction restarted within like a week or so. So this was like a month-long process because I attended roughly 4 different auctions until the third or the fourth time I started seeing that the next bid hits reserve. Now, obviously, last time we were going up to around 210, so we can see her next bid is 230. Beforehand, the price was at 300,000 and it didn't say this. My conclusion from this section here is the fact that the bank kept lowering the reserve price because nobody was bidding on the property, which for me meant that this was a waiting game and hoping nobody else sniffed out the deal before I could get their reserve price to what I wanted to pay for the property. Now, the second thing I want to touch on is the seller counter bid. Now, every time it was me and the bank going back and forth, and they would always outbid me. I wouldn't go past my max bid and the property would be re-auctioned. But I noticed that there was no other investor bidding on this property, so I knew that it was just a fight between me and the bank, which meant that my odds were pretty good. Lastly, the third thing that I want to pay attention to is the timer up here in the right-hand corner. This one says 1 minute and 29 seconds. During the last few auctions that I attended for this property, as I was putting in my last bid, the bank didn't counterbid. The reserve price was not met, but the auctioneer did increase the time, hoping that somebody else would see the deal and outbid me, basically paying more for the property. So all of these signs basically indicated to me that they were eager to sell this property. There was nobody else bidding on it. I was the only one in the game, and if they And if they kept re-auctioning, I would show up every time, only putting in my max bid. But of course, we also need to get financing for the deal. So here is the breakdown. This is from Kiavi.com. This is basically what the numbers look like. And if we're looking through this, we're basically getting a loan amount for $165,000. Now, these aren't the official numbers from this deal, but it is pretty close. We ended up borrowing roughly $169 with a $1,400 rehab holdback because the property didn't need any rehab. And the monthly payment is $1,400, so a little bit more than this. And of course, I don't make this up. This is all Kiavi or whoever lender that you're going to use. And of course, we also have the cash required at closing. Now, on our particular deal, I think with the closing costs and everything, it was about $50,000 cash out of our pocket. Could have done with less. I also didn't want to pay a 12% interest rate, but I will say it definitely could have been done because Kiavi lends up to 95% LTV. Loan terms, 1 year, 1 year fixed. We want to make sure that we have no prepayment penalty. Now, this is a short-term interest-only loan, basically just a fix and flip loan. So these are the details on that. All right, and then once we got pre-approved for the loan, the numbers look good. I agreed to them. A $1,400 payment for a couple of months for holding costs until we sell the property sounded good. And of course, we also have to estimate the rehab of this place. Now, as you guys saw on my social medias, the house needed absolutely no rehab. So over here we have the kitchen. Again, nothing needed to be done. Basically, just to resume it all, I had to change out the locks on the door for obvious reasons. And of course, there was a little bit of damage there. And we also did have to pay for a house cleaning service to come in and basically give it a nice old clean. So that way we can list it on the market and it looks fabulous. Now that we have our financing and our rehab figured out, we want to look at comps for this property. And this is exactly what I did. Looked up on Zillow, sold in the last 90 days, found properties that were built within the same year. This is something that's really peculiar here in our area. Obviously, I would know because this is our market, specifically around the same square footage as well. You don't want to overdo it too much. And of course, the same bed and bath count. This is the most common here in our market. So we're looking at 339, 344, and 310, which gives us an average median at 331. Now, if we want this to be a quick sale, I would definitely list it a little lower. So if we're looking at the purchase price, we ended up paying $210,000 flat. We have an estimated rehab budget of $200. Closing cost for the sale of the property at $24,000, including title fees, realtor fees, and we have the holding cost that we figured out through the financing, which basically this is, I believe, 4 to 5 months of us holding the property until it actually sells, which for this particular market, most houses are on the market for only 100 days. So I gave it a little bit more leniency. However, I do think that we can close this in 100 days, exit out of the deal, and take our profit out. So looking at our resale price chart, we have the median after repair value at 331. If we were to sell it for this price, we're getting a 38% return on investment. Now, like I said, I would like to sell this as quickly as possible to eliminate the holding costs and move on to our next deal. Ideally, I would probably list it around the 320 mark. Right here, we have 321, which is the closest at $81,000 in profits. And we're looking at a 33% ROI, which for me is a solid deal. Anything above 30 for me is a good deal. So this was basically the whole rundown of how we actually found the property, the financing for it, the actual deal breakdown that I did to make sure that it was a good deal. Now, there were a few challenges and lessons that I did learn along the way. Number one, if we're going to do this, we got to have the proper LLC docs for the company that is going to be holding the property. Now, you cannot put these in your personal name, which is exactly what I did. Of course, you want to avoid any unnecessary closing costs. So if you're doing a hard money loan, you probably don't need like a survey, for example. So you definitely don't want to pay for it if you don't need it. And also making sure that you have a clear exit plan. That way you don't waste time and money and resources holding on to a deal that could be making you money, whether that's renting, exiting, doing the burst strategy, whatever exit strategy that you have in place, make sure you have it, and also a backup just in case. Now, something that I didn't even think about that we went through for this deal that personally you can't really control, which is we listed it during the holidays. Now, we closed on this property, I believe, early December, which means she was on the market mid-December, which means that Christmas is on the 25th, and people are traveling and not shopping for houses, which kind of took a toll on the days on market and how long this property was going to be sitting there for people to look at. But unfortunately, like I said, I can't really control that. And I would rather have not listed it later because if it's on the market, it's on the market. And lastly, the insurance took forever to close. Make sure you have a good insurance agent. So if you guys want to learn more, see how I did this, how you can do it too. Like I said, we entered this deal with almost no money down. We financed the whole thing. entered and exited roughly in less than 6 months and made a 35% ROI. I'm offering a one-on-one mentorship with my team and I. Everyone who I work with to get my deals done are all in our community. You're going to be working hands-on with me on how to find a deal, how to break down the numbers, how to estimate the rehab costs, literally everything that will take you from A to buying your first investment property or even second investment property. If you want to learn how to invest in auctions, I have the link to the waitlist down below. We're only accepting 15 members. This is our first ever round. Make sure you guys sign up to the waitlist below. We have a few questions just to make sure that the program is actually equipped for you and that you're ready to start investing so we don't waste each other's time. And I want to make sure that you guys actually leave the program with your first investment property. So if you guys want to learn more, make sure to check out the link down below. We will be taking a selected number of students to mentor hands-on one-on-one with my team and I. And yeah, that's basically everything that we did for this deal. And I hope to walk you guys through your own deals like this one that I did. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.